hundreds of years, we have seen so much change. The Elder Dragon's lust for magic is unsustainable, bringing a new season of transformation and conflict. Mortals forge new powers greater than themselves. My only fear is the consequences such creations may bring. The future still has yet to be written, but time is running out. Will you forever take your place in Tyria's history?
What happened to you out in the desert?
It's a powder keg over there, and that maniac has already lit the fuse. One person against a god of war.
We know there's something in the desert that will help us turn the tide against Balthazar.
So, will this be your first god fight?
Yeah, you?
The Elder Dragons will die by my hands. And their power will become my power.
I fear he may get the weapon. If he does, the consequences will be unpredictable. We gonna kill a god or what?
We cannot defeat him on our own.
There's no coming back. We must strike now.
The gods have abandoned this world.
No more running, Balthazar! Face me!
I am
hundreds of years, we have seen so much change. The Elder Dragon's lust for magic is unsustainable.
E aí galera, como é que estamos?
Bringing a new season of transformation.
Bora assistir essa live da Arena Net.
Mortals forge new powers greater than themselves. My only fear
Boa tarde pra quem tá aí.
such creations may bring.
Vamos dar uma jogadinha até começar a live. A live começa às 4 horas a princípio. Vamos dar uma enrolada aí até começar. Tá pegando vento no microfone, né? Vou ter que tirar o ventilador da frente, pera aí. Dá pra ver que tá pegando vento. Ai, calor dos infernos. Começou já o verão. Tururu. Eles podiam excluir as novas aqui, né? É pouca opção, mano. Pera aí, cadê? Tá, daqui a pouco. Eu já coloco o som do jogo aí, pessoal. Acho que eu nunca vi ninguém usando esse negócio. E aí, Francar, como é que tá, maninho? Famoso Guild Wars, mano, já ouviu falar? Ah, tem pouca opção interessante aqui, sinceramente. É essa aqui mesmo. Vai ter live agora de uma atualização aí que vai ter na nova expansão e nós vamos assistir agora às 16 horas. Ah, não vai dar pra usar o R por causa do... Pera aí que eu tenho que desligar o Bleach HUD, senão não vai funcionar. Deixa eu ver uma coisa aqui, pera aí. Como é que era o nome que eu queria mesmo? Esqueci, velho. Não é fazendeiro. Tá, vai isso aí mesmo. Urururu. Tá alto essa bagaça. O cara já tá com o banco aqui, velho. Não, outfit não. Caralho, a árvore parece uma borracha.
Rally to me if you need to recover. Fight for everything you hold dear. It's not dead yet. Brace yourselves. I think it's gonna explode.
E aí, Raik, como é que tá, maninho? Vai ter agora às 16, mano. A live da Arena Net. Mostrando as novas habilidades do Skimmer. Eu quero dar uma olhadinha. Depois fazer um videozinho em cima. E aí, Batosai. Vamos ver se esse bichinho vai voar mesmo. Tu diz a expansão em si? Como um todo? Ah, eu acho, mano. Eu acho. Eu ponho fé que essa expansão como um todo vai ser bem mais interessante do que foi as últimas. Tipo, eu tô com a expectativa alta, assim. É que assim, mano, só de ter especialização Elite, ela já é, na minha opinião, superior a Jantiru Wild e ao Soto. Bom, só de eu ter as especializações Elite. Então... Agora, se somar ainda com as outras coisas que a gente já sabe que vai ter, pra mim ela já me vendeu, sabe? Pra mim tá muito bom. Vamos ver como é que vai ficar na prática, né? Essa é a questão toda. Como vai ser na prática. Cara, um conselho que eu tô dando pro pessoal. Quais expansões tu tem, mano? As duas primeiras. É, assim, ó, eu sempre digo. Depende muito do que tu gosta no jogo, do que tu quer liberar. Mas, uma coisa que valeria a pena é tu comprar essa expansão mais atual agora que vai sair e deixar pra comprar as outras quando tem promoção. Tipo, provavelmente no final de novembro vai ter alguma promoção. Alguma extra vai ter até o final do mês, do ano. Então eu faria isso hoje. Porque de qualquer forma a próxima expansão, a Visions of Eternity, tem bastante conteúdo, tá? Tipo, nova especialização Elite, mais um monte de coisa. Eu acho que vale a pena, sabe? E ela não vai entrar em promoção tão cedo. Então eu acho que eu começaria com ela, sabe? No teu caso, especificamente. Eu acho que vale a pena. Boa tarde, Johnny. Como é que tá? É. Path of Fire. É a minha favorita também, mano. Embora assim, eu acho que todas agregam valores ao jogo, não adianta. Tipo, todas, uma complementa a outra, tá ligado? Mas em termos de história e de features, pra mim, Path of Fire foi a melhor. E aí, Otávio, como é que tá? Fazer a primeira parte só. Acho que a live da Arena Net não vai ser muito demorada. O que tu acha, Otávio? Não tá, acho que não vai render.
My time is precious.
Assim, ó, eu tô com expectativa baixa, então o que vier, veio.
Take your hands off me, you scum! Help! Murder!
Cara, o Ranger pra mim foi o mais legal de todos. Já te adiantando já. O Ranger ficou top demais. O Necro tá aceitável. Eu ainda tenho que jogar mais com ele pra dizer se eu vou curtir jogar ou não, tá? E o Mesmer ficou legal pra quem quer fazer uma build full suporte, assim. Tá bem feito, assim. Só que assim, eu joguei pouco o beta, tá? Então... E vai ter algumas modificações, obviamente. Então a gente tem que ver como é que vai ficar na prática. Mas essas 3 aí ficaram boas, de início. Ah, o guerreiro eu acho que eles vão ter que dar uma melhoradinha em algumas coisas lá. Mas é uma classe pra ser full suporte também, né? Tanto o Mesmer quanto o guerreiro, eles realmente foram projetados pra ser suporte. O que eu vejo que o pessoal menos gostou de todos, assim, acho que foi o do Revenant. Acho que foi o mais broxante. Não sei se o pessoal tava criando muita expectativa. É, eu testei todas um pouquinho, né, mano? Um pouquinho só. O guerreiro é full suporte, tá? Ele é o Paragon, o nome da spec. Full suporte. E ele basicamente berra. Todas as habilidades dele ele berra. É engraçado, mas é isso aí. E dá booms. Ele berra e dá booms. Acho que ele deve ter algum CC que dá dor de cabeça no inimigo, talvez. Mas de resto é berro, 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 berro. Só berro. Vou deixar o personagem aqui que faltam 5 minutos, não vai dar tempo de terminar. Não sei, Otávio. Eu vou continuar com o meu Herald. O Herald pra mim já quebra o galho.
Somebody get those idiots away from the pipes. It's an attack. Take cover. Not the pipe.
Ah, que ficava berrando? Ó, tinha no Guild Wars 1. No Guild Wars 1 existia o Paragon. Eles basicamente pegaram dali a referência. Deixa eu fechar a porta aqui. E aí, cangaceiro? Veio o Skimmer também, cangaceiro. É, eles pegaram do Guild Wars 1 o Paragon e o Ritualista. O Ritualista eu não sei se chegou a ficar parecido com o que era no Guild Wars 1, mas enfim. Agora a gente invoca a princípio uns lacaios, mas que são mais totem do que qualquer outra coisa. Matando cachorro. Vai casar bem. Sim, o Ranger, na verdade, a especialização elite do Ranger deveria se chamar Arqueiro. Porque de fato ele vai virar um arqueiro agora. Eu não sei porque gay shot, sei lá como é que pronuncia. Mas o nome deveria ser arqueiro, archer. Seria perfeito. Porque agora ele vai virar de fato um arqueiro. Vai ficar top. Buenos, vamos arrumar aqui pra... agora nós vamos ter de fato um arqueiro, mano. E aí, ET Crono, seja bem-vindo, mano. Vamos arrumar aqui. Deixa eu tirar... Eu vou tirar essa imagem aqui, tá? Pra não ficar atrapalhando. O que que vai vir salgado, mano? A expansão? A expansão já tá à venda, mano. Faz mais de um mês. Vale a pena, Electros. Etercronos. Etercronos. Vale a pena. Pode pegar. Aquela poção que tu tá falando, né? Tá 124, eu acho, na nuvem. A nuvem tá um pouquinho mais barato do que a da Hype Games, tá? Se tu joga pela ArenaNet. Se tu joga pela Steam, é o valor da Steam lá, que também acho que é 124. Essa poção, Cronos, ela é uma poção pra quem faz fractal, tá? Mas mesmo que tu não faça, compra ela e deixa guardada. Ela é super cara e demorada de fazer. Ela dá bônus pra quem faz fractal. Só funciona dentro das fractais, tá? E aí, Patinho Dot. Cara, não tem a coisa que o pessoal mais faz, porque no Guild Wars tu pode escolher várias coisas que tu pode fazer, tá? Tu tem várias opções dentro do jogo e tu não fica preso a nada. Eu te recomendo dar uma olhadinha no vídeo que eu fiz sobre o que fazer quando chegar no nível 80 no Guild Wars 2. Lá eu dou uma resumida. Mas é tipo, tu pode fazer conteúdo mundo aberto, tu pode fazer fractal, tu pode fazer strike mission, raid, ir atrás de item lendário se tu tá afim, fica full ascended gear. Tem muita coisa. É eterna, mano. É eterna. Ela fica pra sempre. Comprem essa poção, pelo amor de Deus. Comprem essa poção antes dela sair do Wizard Vault, porque ela é muito boa. Depois vocês vão se arrepender pro resto da vida se vocês não comprarem. Não, ela é permanente, mano. Não, ela no Wizard Vault ela é temporária, tá, meu? Assim que ele resetar, eles vão mudar. Mas quando tu compra, ela é permanente. Ela provavelmente, eu imagino que ela vai ficar até a próxima expansão. Então vocês têm mais ou menos uns 40 dias aí pra comprar ela. Ah, aqui item lendário é o End Game, né? Eu tô presumindo 40 dias porque acho que é 39 dias até a próxima expansão, tá? Então eu acho que vai ficar até o final aí do ciclo de patch. 16 horas.
Sweet, and I see you have a little friend behind you.
Do.
What is that? And how did you get that?
Pera aí, deixa eu aumentar a qualidade aqui.
A cute little skimmer that during our fan event that we had during PAX West.
Eu vou aumentar um pouco o volume aqui, tá? Vai ficar mais ou
our,
menos da minha
players,
voz.
And they were really excited by the skimmer, and so they made this cute little skimmer for us, and we thought, you know, what better way to thank them than to showcase
Verdade, Cronos.
its absolute
Verdade.
adorableness to the world. So
And
they know who we've thanked them, but you know, I'll just reiterate, like,
Botar o
thank you
fone
again,
que eu
it's
consigo
adorable,
escutar um pouco
and
melhor.
it protects our pod.
Everyone's
at
going to be
work.
like, how do we buy one?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so we're gonna hop into game here
Falta o fone
and
pegar,
start
né?
showing off all the things for the skimmer.
E aí,
And there was
Vez,
a
boa tarde,
blog
mano.
post that Nick wrote that went up on the website earlier this week. So check out guildwars2.com if you want to see a lot of what we're going to be sharing today in more detail. Today will be visual stuff, but if you need to reference stuff, the blog is always there. So we are going to show off the homestead map, which we did a stream with Sarah like 2 weeks ago, where we showed off this map. So
Senhor Digital Marketing Especialista, caralho, hein?
see our new Commissas Isle
Agora que eu
homestead
reparei.
map. This is where you'll be able to decorate and you have your own magical
Eu vou
island to
diminuir um pouquinho
explore.
a
But we're
minha,
going to use this as
câmera,
our
tá? Pra não
first
ficar
staging
atrapalhando.
ground to show off the new skills for the skimmer. So real quick before we jump into that, anything you see today, there could be some balance tweaks and tuning. Things could be adjusted. You might see some temporary icons. So just keep all that in mind. I don't know if Nick, you wanted to address that any further than I did, but
I mean, I think you did a great job, honestly. Like, yeah, we're still balancing a lot of stuff. Some things you see here might be overtuned or undertuned, but it is wholly representative currently to the best of our capabilities of what we would like it to feel like when it actually ships. So, we're still tweaking, changing some things, but what you see here hopefully is close to what will actually show up on live, unless we find a really bad exploit, and then we'll fix that.
yeah. So Nick has the base skimmer skin that is going to be used to show off a lot of things because
Ah, que
most
bonito
people
essa
are
skin do
familiar with what that
skimmer,
looks like.
mano.
But I am sporting the Castoran Wavehawk model, which is going to be a new model that players can enjoy in the expansion. You can see it's a giant
Vai ser a skin básica do skimmer, que nem o Warclaw,
mount.
mano.
Amazing job on the animations and the art on this.
Nossa, olha que bonito.
Yeah. Actually, shout out to the animation team for this one in particular as well. We, while we were going through it, one of the things that we were trying to figure out
Muito
while
massa.
making it is like how can we make
Praticamente,
it feel
Raik,
distinct,
praticamente,
but also
DPS.
still read effectively, because if you look at the way the skimmer actually animates, there's a lot of communication going on with it. And so what we did
mais
was
tarde,
we
Otávio.
looked at a bunch of different animations from like the hummingbird and like the core skimmer mount skins, and we tried to pick and choose and kind of combine ones that we felt would best represent like something that is flying, right, fast flapping wings and giving you
Cara,
that
essa
dragonfly
skin
kind
do
of
skimmer tá muito legal.
flutteriness, while also
Na
still having animations that were still core to the messaging of what the skimmer actually is. So if you have the hummingbird skin, you might find some of these familiar, but there will also be ones that are a lot more familiar to the base level skimmer, just to make sure that we have an effective balance for those who, kind of at least subconsciously are paying attention.
Essa skin eu acho que vai ser free, mano. Eu acho que vai ser base da expansão.
For the skills.
Would you mind zooming in a little bit on
Ah,
the,
tá falando do template das
since
skins.
you're the camera. There we go.
I am the camera. Yeah, I was doing a walkthrough earlier while you were talking. I was doing a little.
Não sei, não quero saber o que tu tá escrevendo aí.
I didn't see that. I'm also dressed like a pirate, because today is Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Yeah, are you gonna talk like a pirate for us, Richie?
Eu só tinha visto o teu boa tarde, mano.
I'm gonna nerd out real quick about Talk Like a Pirate Day, since this expansion, as you've probably seen in our trailers and stuff, like we're on an island, there are some pirate-esque individuals, we've got ships, so we figured it'd be good to kind of, at least acknowledge, like, hey, it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. But fun fact about Talk Like a Pirate Day, that's the accent that you hear in most movies and media isn't actually the way that pirates talked back in the olden days. It was coined by an actor in like the 1950s for the Disney movie called Treasure Island. And he was this British actor that was trying to find a good accent, and it just kind of was so prevalent and prominent that it stuck throughout all of media. But in reality, a lot of pirates, depending on where they were in the world, had their native dialect accents. So it's like if you're like individuals from the Caribbean that were Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Like they probably had dialects more close to like their like Spanish heritage or English, depending on where they're from. Same with like pirates from Africa and things like that. They will have their native dialect accents. So it is cool, but I think it's also just a little fun fact.
Mano, ele tá falando sobre o dia de falar como pirata, mano.
That
Sério
totally
isso.
makes sense. Absolutely. Like, why would all pirates from different places around the world talk the same.
Yeah, that's my little fun fact for the day.
Ué, tu forçou, né, cagaceiro?
That's awesome. Let's talk about skimmers. You want to show off some of the abilities and talk through like what upgrades they're gonna be getting when the expansion comes out?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess what I will note real quick is that we will be looking at the mastery lines in a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk everybody through what the abilities are themselves, and then we'll talk a little bit later about like when they get unlocked. So the order that we are communicating them now is not necessarily the order that you'll be acquiring them through the mastery line. But I will start out. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you mentioned unlock. Why don't we start with how do you, like, there's going to be a new way to unlock these skimmers in the expansion, right?
Yes, yeah. So very similar to GW2 Wilds and the Warclaw, you will need to go through the first parts of story to be able to introduce yourself into Castora, get into the map, and then at a certain point in story you will be given the objectives to complete.
Dá pra liberar agora o Skimmer com essa expansão. Já era meio óbvio, mas...
So we saw a lot of kind of positive reception and integration for the Warclaw and the way that we did with GW2 Wilds, and so we figured it'd be good to just kind of follow suit with that, right? Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or whatever that saying is. And so, similarly to GW2 Wilds, that is the way that you'll be unlocking it this time around.
Okay, so even if you don't have Path of Fire and you do get Visions of Eternity, you can get the Skimmer.
Correct, yes.
Awesome. All right, go for it.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to start out with the one skill, which, as you'll probably notice for anybody who is very familiar with the Skimmer, the icon is different, and that is because as a part of the mastery line, we are upgrading the barrel roll to what we call the enhanced barrel roll. And so previously, the way that barrel roll worked, it's a hard one, so I'm going to probably stutter on it a little bit. But the way that barrel roll
mano, eu queria ver com a skin legal ali.
If you were to click on it, you would dash forward and then dismount, healing anybody that you pass through. With the enhanced version, what we've done now is we've made
Ele tá com
it so
3
that
barrinhas
way,
ali, ó.
you don't dismount, and you can just keep hitting it, and you will keep getting to use the dashes. We have added an endurance cost with that to kind of create some semblance of balance. So similar to the Warclaw bounce, which you'll notice down here, is that there are now segmentations on the endurance bar, and that's just to kind of showcase how much it will cost per dash. So a dash costs about 1/3 of the bar, not counting for regeneration. If you time it pretty well, you'll be able to essentially get kind of 4 out in semi-quick succession. But yeah, that's pretty much the core of it. It will still do all of its healing through pass-through, but to kind of help make sure that this doesn't just become like the best healing thing ever, the healing does diminish every single time that a specific individual is hit by it. And so if one person is hit by the barrel roll like 3 times, the healing will decrease each time, the healing that is received by that individual. And then you're also probably
É bom pra não criar uma build de full cura de Skimmer. Toda vez que tu usar o dashzinho ali, vai comer tua barra de energia. Vai poder curar os caras enquanto tu passa com o dash, mas conforme tu vai usando no mesmo alvo, a cura vai diminuindo.
Thing, right? So the hover is a very kind of prominent part flavorfully and in general with the Skimmer, right? You hold down spacebar or whatever you rebound it to be able to hover for a little bit. And so we kind of took that core concept of the holding abilities to do specific things with the Skimmer and it added it to a couple of other skills. So now with the dash, if you hold down the one skill, what happens is that it will trigger the dismount portion of the skill, and then the player will be able to get off of it. And so what that kind of allows for is players to kind of play around with getting to specific areas while still being able to know when the right time is to hop off. And that's pretty much the core of it in terms of the enhanced barrel roll. It will still, if you have the Path of Fire masteries, it will still take the res consideration and the healing adjustments into fact as well. Same with the other mounts like cross mount boons that you get from their masteries. Those things are also still factored into the engage skill.
Okay, does that scale with healing power of the player as well?
It does not. That was something that we talked a lot about, and the kind of the what's the best way to put this? The thing that we kind of fell upon and decided on is like, well, the Skimmer is doing the damage, not you. and the skimmer is doing the healing, not you, and so it doesn't make as much sense if the player is like full heal kitted out.
Os status do player não influenciam no dano e na cura da montaria.
I think on top of that, by having it holistically centric around
E aí, João, acabamos, recém começou, mano.
Itself, that yields a better balance for everybody, and so if you are a DPS centric player, if you're a glass cannon or if you're playing a tank build, you still have the ability to be effective in the healing that you do with the skimmer. It's just an option for everybody as well, and there's not going to be a hard preference on who does it. It'll still probably be viable for healers that want to do it. It'll just be a part of their rotation kit, right? Like they blow all their cooldowns, they hop on the skimmer, they do a little bit more healing, they hop back down, their cooldowns are refreshed, right? So those are the kind of considerations that we had with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I like what you were saying earlier, that holding down is a mechanic that's tied to the skimmer. And like just in our like rehearsals and stuff for the stream, it's really felt like it's kept its identity. And I love that the hold down a button, skimmer does something as a feature. It was well thought out. Love it.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of iteration and feedback on it, so I'm glad folks are liking it so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next up is the we call the slipstream boost, which I've noticed from the blog post that a lot of people are really interested in. And this is, I think, where you're going to see a lot more of the quote-unquote evolution of the skimmer. And so what slipstream boost does is it gives you a quick little speed boost on the skimmer for X amount of time, depending on your like mastery training and buffs and things like that. So as you saw, it gives you a temporary speed boost similar to what you'd get if you used like swiftness or super speed, but just with the actual amount itself.
Speedzinho
One addition to that, though, going back to the hold feature, right? If you use slipstream boost while you are using hover high, it gives you the power to ascend even higher with the continued cost of the stamina depletion.
Agora ficou legal.
So what that allows for us to do, as you can see Richie up there, is give players the ability to kind of do a like vertical ascent with skimmer, because skimmer is kind of like the glider mount to a certain extent, right? So we wanted to be able to boost that functionality and that capability without it necessarily intruding upon the Sky Scales territory or the Griffin's territory, right? Because the Griffin is like fighter jet flying around, going through stuff, and the Sky Scale itself is like the helicopter. So this is kind of more like the like air glider, I guess is the best way to put it. But this also does work with the Bond of Vigor as an example, and so if I am doing this and I'm using that, and I just choose to use Bond of Vigor, as you can see, you can get some pretty significant height. And then what I like to do as well is get a little bit of hang time through like the dashes, because they do hold your Z position, keep hovering, right? And then that just allows you some pretty decent uptime. And it is holistically better on some maps than it is on others, but in reality, it's like the goal here is to make sure that
é oficial, vou aposentar meu Sky Scale.
Fluid and seamless. And so with a lot of islands, there is a lot of different kind of cliffside stuff and verticality, and so we figured that this would be a good way for players to be able to, like, you know, get up to higher areas without necessarily needing to swap out their mounts.
Or cling to a wall, or do all
cling
those
to a
other
wall.
things. Yeah. We're gonna show off the skimmer and some other maps to show you like what it can do when you have the ideal circumstances and not ideal circumstances, and we'll do that in a little bit.
Isso aí eu curti pra caramba, na boa.
As the folks are already typing, like it really is just a whole new experience, and I love how you.
Mano, ele praticamente voa, velho.
Not going into the Griffin and the Sky Scales terrain, it feels like an entirely different mount, and not technically flying, but certainly can get height. You scaled that entire house. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some maps we'll show earlier that like play to its strengths pretty well. Depending on where you start, you can get some serious hang time. But stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much slipstream boost in general. What I also note as well is that it works underwater as well. And as a part of base skimmer,
nunca tinha ouvido essa teoria,
when the base skimmer is riding on water, it increases its base movement speed. And so that is just kind of a natural thing that happens with skimmer. But if you use slipstream boost as a part of it as well, you get even, like, that speed boost is added on top of the already existing speed boost.
Caralho, olha isso.
While
Ei, ele fica
riding on
muito
water.
rápido na
And
água.
so this allows you pretty fast traversal through water spaces, which I think is pretty great. You also probably saw a little stealth thing that happened there. That is a part of the mastery lines that we've added as a sort of flavorful addition when moving between the above space into water and from water up to the air area. As a kind of like evolutionary trait that is like narratively a part of the Wavehawk. But on top of that, part of it was also because we were getting feedback from individuals that like the transition between water and land can sometimes be fraught with danger, right? Because you don't necessarily know what creatures are going to be standing above land or what creatures are going to be in water when you go through them. And so this was just kind of a nice little way that we could give additional benefit to those who have the dive in both sides, in Path of Fire and here, as well as kind of like, what's the best way to put this? Give a little bit more space in that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. Getting a question in the chat: Does the speed of the skimmer get impacted by swim speed infusion?
It does not currently. So similar to the heal stats, like any of the player's stats and infusion stuff does not get affected by skimmer because it is the skimmer itself that is utilizing these speed boosts and these stats. So like the mounts follow a completely different movement system than players do. And so there's not really a clean way to be like, I've got like a +9 swim speed infusion. So that will increase the skimmer's speed by X, right?
Ah, isso é bom. É bom que não tenha bônus do player na montaria, pelo menos.
Kind of going to be left behind. Like there are
Eu prefiro assim
quite
que
a few
seja
areas in
individual o
Castora
bagulho.
where swimming is going to be more beneficial than using the skimmer, and having those swim speed boosts will really have kind of like a feel impact, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah. And just we are keeping an eye on chat for questions, so feel free to post them. We won't get to all of them, but if we see one that we want to call out, we will indeed try to answer it.
Cool. All right, moving on to the 3 skill. So as people have read, this skimmer is now a combat mount and a part of that exclusive club with the Warclaw and Skyscale and the Siege Turtle. And so as a part of that, right, the Wavehawks on Castora were creatures that needed to evolve to kind of survive a more hostile environment. And so one of the ways that we felt we can kind of blend that with the combat mounting kit is by giving them what folks internally call the Pew Pew skill. And so the way that the Pew Pew skill works, which in reality is called water jets, is that if you click it, it will shoot 2 water jets towards your target. If the target is an enemy, it will damage them. If the target is an ally, it will heal them. This homestead map is not really conductive towards being able to demonstrate the healing or the damage because it's like a nice vacation beach house. There's not any real threats here. And so when we move on to the next map, I'll showcase that a little bit more, but the damage and healing functionality of it. But in reality, it's mainly just like you shoot and it's cool. One additional note I will communicate as well is going back to that theming that we were talking about around the hold skill and the theme in Skimmer in general. The 3 skill also does that, where if you hold it down, it will continue to fire the jets up to the maximum ammo count that you currently have. And so what that allowed for us to do is really give players the ability to, like, you know, hop on their skimmer and potentially take down a minor threat while they're moving through water or land spaces and or heal allies in a pinch. And so that's pretty much the core goal of this, is essentially to make sure that individuals have the ability
legalzinho, dá pra curar e causar dano com
heal
esses
their
tirinhos.
friends, damage their enemies. One additional note that I'll give on this as well is that, let's see if I bound it correctly. Yep. All right, this does function with action camera. Similar to Skyscale, though, there is kind of like a cone range for the skimmer. So if you try to shoot it behind you, as you'll see, it's just going to hit the edge of its effective cone. But while you're using the skimmer, it will shoot in the direction that you are choosing if you do not have a pre-selected target. Also, if you do not have a pre-selected target, actually, no, I didn't mean to dismount. You can fire it in specific directions depending on where your mouse is, which I think is pretty neat. Let me give myself back more ammo. And so as you can see, there's just kind of like a little bit of variety in the way that you can engage with utilizing this skill. And the main reason that we wanted to do that was to give different players who are utilizing the skimmer kind of ways that they can approach any scenario that is more potentially catered towards their wanted play style, whether they are using action camera, tab targeting, or point and click.
That's awesome. And the maximum ammo is 10 on
Yes, it is. Yes, it is currently 10.
And somebody's asking, can you fire, damage, and heal underwater?
Yes, these skills work on ground, in air, and underwater. The whole kit for Skimmer works in all spaces.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it for the main 3 skills. As you can see up here, there are 2 additional skills. There is the famous ley line riding, right? And so what we've done with Castora is we've given the skimmer, now that it has a bit more of an ability to enter and fly through airspaces, we just wanted to give it a little bit of the same playing field as the Sky Scale and
isso
the
aí é
Griffin.
muito bom,
And
mano.
so now the skimmer has the ability to ride ley lines and updrafts. One additional
muito
note
bom.
is that similar to Sky Scale and Griffin, we wanted to make sure that players had a way of being able to break out of the ley line if they wish. And so the way that the 1 skill works now, you have the ability to use your 1 skill's dash to break out of the ley line, and that's just to give people a little bit more of an option in terms of like how they want to approach riding these things. One additional
E aí,
note
Luciana,
I
seja
would
bem-vindo,
add
mano.
is
Valeu
that,
pela
as a part
sub,
of the
mano.
blog post, you might have also
5 meses já,
noticed,
valeu.
we mentioned the words underwater ley lines, and that is because with this functionality, right, and with the kind of rich ley magics that come with Castora, we wanted to find ways to kind of allow that to function well in all spaces. And so yeah, we've introduced underwater ley lines throughout Castora, and as you can see, they're a great way to kind of navigate through spaces, get some additional
poder usar as
speed
ley
and
line é
direction
muito
within
prático.
underwater, and transition between underwater and above water states. And yeah, thankfully, this amazing homestead that the homestead team did a great job on has ley lines that allow us to demonstrate this. Because, I do apologize to anybody who wanted to see the maps as a part of this, or potentially were hoping that they'd see the maps as a part of this. Those are spaces that we want to make sure are left to surprise and delight as people reach them on October 28th when it ships.
Yep. And if anybody didn't watch our homestead live stream from 2 weeks ago and are curious to see this map that we're currently on, like toured in detail, you can check out our Twitch VOD or we have a YouTube video that basically covers that whole stream.
Esse
So
mapa
if
tá muito
you're
bonito, hein?
watching us talking
Convenhamos.
about the skimmers and going, but I want to see this map. We did that 2 weeks ago. You can go check it out after the stream.
Yeah, shout out to Sarah Davies. She did an amazing job with you, Richie, on all of that as one of the homestead team. Yeah.
She took over the stream. It was great.
Yeah, and what I will also note here for the ley line real quick is that it follows the same preferential settings as the Sky Scale and the Griffin. And so if you were to like swap to the Sky Scale, if you had disabled ley line gliding because you just don't want to deal with it right now, that will carry over between each of the mounts as well.
Nice.
And then if you enable it, it will be enabled
Tá massa essa expansão, né,
similarly.
Luciana?
So yeah,
Na
it's just
boa.
a neat little touch that we tried to keep
Tá
consistent.
massa.
Yeah, that's
Seeing
pretty
a
much
question.
ley line.
Seen a question a bunch of times. Does the water jets do siege damage?
They currently
Esse bustzinho na vertical aí vai tornar ele bem mais útil.
That's something that I wouldn't say necessarily decided against, but like it doesn't necessarily fit the theme of the skimmer, and there's and it could potentially take away from the usage of the Sky Scale, the Warclaw, and the Siege Turtle. And so, since Siege doesn't really exist,
Mas se tu comprar a expansão, tu já tem.
we thought that like it'd be better to kind of allow the core niche of the skimmer to be around kind of amphibious
Tu viu que em
traversal
Gaceira eles não querem mostrar
and,
nada do mapa novo.
kind of, what's the best way to put it? Like the
Essa libélula ali eu
it's not
acho que vai ser a
amphibious in,
skin
like,
básica da
action,
expansão.
but having
De
the
graça,
ability
a
to do
princípio.
both damage and healing. It's a very like well-rounded mount, but we don't want it to become like the mount, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's an option that we didn't include as a part of this.
I like the care that design teams put into making sure that each mount, as we've been touching them over the past few expansions, like, you know, improves and becomes more fun, but also doesn't become like dominant in every area. We want
É isso que eu falo, tá ligado? Eles tomam cuidado pra uma montaria não sobrepor a outra, tá ligado? Tipo, não fazer uma ficar super overpower.
Players, you know, feel compelled to actually use all their mounts instead of just sticking to one favorite one.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we want to make sure that they all get some love. And we don't want anyone to be like the one true mount.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else skill related?
There is this one other one that you can see here called Aether Location. This one I think might be better suited to walk through a little bit later, because Aether Location doesn't work in homestead maps. So that's something that we could showcase in the next map that we move to. But the high level of Aether Location is that, very similar to the Warclaw Sniff, the skimmer has, or the skimmers in Castora have a way to echolocate, if that makes sense. And so the way that it works out
Tá bonito, né? Homestead nova.
this one is a toggle, whereas the
Muito bonito.
Warclaw Sniff is a like click on cooldown. And the main reason that we chose to make this one a toggle is because like echolocation in and of itself is a sort of, I wouldn't say holistically passive system, but it's like, it is something that most aquatic animals are using pretty consistently. And also, we noticed with players with the Warclaw, we're just kind of hitting the button on cooldown, and it's like, well, let's save your mouse or your keyboard some clicks, right? If you're just going to keep clicking it on cooldown anyways. And that also allows for the focus to be more on exploration and kind of the utilization of your traversal skills, since a lot of it is based around kind of hold, rather than being like, okay, I need to walk here, hit this button, wait for the cooldown, walk over here, hit this button, wait for the cooldown. So yeah, we'll showcase that in a second.
Awesome. Yeah, Aeroth in chat says, my fingers thank you.
Então deu certo.
Your fingers are welcome.
All right. All right. So I think you want to talk about masteries before we switch maps?
Yes. Yeah, that's probably what everybody's wondering, right? So let me hit that and go to here and this one. So the overall
Olha o
line
que é
is
aquele
called
botão
Skimmer
ali embaixo das
Adaptation,
Master.
and it breaks down into essentially 4 different tiers. First one is called Advanced Hydrodynamics, and this is where you're going to be acquiring the dive as well.
Tem outro botão novo ali, ó, entre os equipamentos e as traits.
Like we wanted to make the skimmer focal.
O que é aquilo ali também?
And we wanted to give it a little bit more life underwater, but part of the problem with the Path of Fire mastery line, not necessarily a problem, but just one of the hurdles with it, is that you don't get dive until the very end of the mastery line, which you have to invest a lot of time and effort to get through it. And so we were like, well, we feel like dive is a core part of the skimmer, and it's really what makes it feel unique. And so we were like, okay, we're just going to give this from the start to individuals. And for those who already have the Path of Fire version, we're going to give them a little bit extra just to make sure that they don't feel like, you know, that they lost out if they had just waited a little bit. And so the additions that you get for it on top of
Eu acho que ali deve ser os templates das skins.
is that you will get a base movement speed increase up to the same rate as
Pode
like
ser
Raptor
também.
and Jackal.
Pode ser.
Because the skimmer previously was
Mas eu acho que ali vai ser os templates das skins, talvez
so
com os wardrobe, tudo ali incluso numa aba separada.
Kind of speed centric things, we wanted to at least put it on the same level playing field as other base mounts. And so that's just a little like, hey, let's give you a speed boost to get you up to that baseline. And then on top of that, as you saw earlier, we're giving away the stealth on transition between water above and below. But yeah, so that's pretty much Advanced Hydrodynamics in general. Then we move on to Castoran Intuition, and this is where you're going to be seeing the enhanced barrel roll coming into play, as well as your Aether Location. And this is where like you'll now be able to utilize your Aether Location for content for finding rewards and just exploring. And also you will be able to utilize your enhanced barrel roll as a way to kind of help you through your journey and taking that familiar concept that you already have of your engage and kind of beginning to pull you towards the new features that are coming with the skimmer. After that is the Convergent Evolution, which is essentially where you will be unlocking both your Slipstream Boost and your Water Jets at the same time, and that's just to now give you the ability to kind of expand upon your movement and give you a little bit more of that vertical play, as well as now give you the ability to do additional healing and damage to allies and enemies. And then lastly, we've got Riptide Rider is what we call it, which is essentially the one that unlocks Leylines and Updrafts. Leylines and Updrafts inherently are very rewarding and useful traversal tool across all maps. And as we've seen previously, right, like it's a very high value mastery. Like you get it at the end of like flight, at the end of gliding, and so we didn't want to necessarily take away from that because of the fact that it is like it has inherent value across all maps. And so we figured that having that be the last one just kind of felt right, and it felt like by that point you will have hopefully a good understanding of how to utilize this entire kit, so it just is a bonus to all of that, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire mastery line.
Animação bonita dessa
One
skin
thing
ali,
that we
pelo
really
amor
wanted
de
to do
Deus.
here is allow more space for other masteries to also get their
Muito bonito.
investment in as well, and so that's one of the main reasons we stuck to 4 masteries instead of 5, right? Like, we just kind of want to get them in your hands and get you to have fun with them, because we know one of the core distinctions between Janthe Wilds and Visions of Eternity or Secrets of the Obscure is that you kind of just had the skills from the start with the Warclaw, and then everything that you got additionally were just enhancements. And so it was like, well, you know, a good way that we can kind of make sure that players are getting this into their hands as quickly as possible is just like, let's keep the let's make each tier feel really rewarding and kind of like the next step in evolution of your experiences with the skimmer.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great.
And that's the mastery line in general. I'm going to take a quick water break because hydrating is important.
You've been talking a lot there, so
Talking so
hydrate
much.
up. I'm answering a question that we already covered. The water jets do work above and underwater. You can shoot the water jets underwater.
Yes, yeah. Let me visualize that for y'all as well, just as a good way to kind of to showcase that, like, yeah, all skills work above and below water.
E aí, Larvos?
Yep.
A
So
gente
you can
pode
one of the
praticamente
main
voar
goals as
agora
well
com o
was,
skimmer.
like, we know that there is like we've gotten a lot of player feedback throughout the years about how kind of water combat can sometimes be frustrating, and we understand that like one of the main reasons for that is because if you're trying to get from point A to point B, it's a lot harder in water spaces to be able to
Fazer resumão depois
kind
pra
of
vocês.
grasp the potential hostile threats or ecology around you, because on land it's like all you really have to worry about is like your X and Y planes, because it's like more often than not the enemies are always going to be on the same visual level as you, whereas like in water you've got that Z axis to worry about as well, and so there's just they could be anywhere, they could be coming from anywhere, and it just makes traversal as well a bit more difficult. And so initially one of the goals with the 3 skill was just to kind of like give you an option for skimmer that allows you to just kind of get small threats out of the way, so that way you can just keep on keeping on, as they say, in the water. And that just kind of evolved naturally as we kind of progressed through the development and playtesting and feedback.
Awesome. All right. I think we're ready to move to another map, show off some echolocation, and we're also going to start showing off, like we mentioned earlier, that there are certain maps that the skimmer works really well at, and you can really do some fun things with it. And Lowland Shore happens to be one of those maps, so we're gonna have do some things over here.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna start off in the moon camp, and yeah, this is one of the things I was talking about, where it's like depending on where you kind of start out, you'll be able to get some serious hang time. So it's like let's just I don't know, let's have some fun with it.
Olha isso, mano. Olha isso.
The first time we rehearsed for the stream and you brought me here and we were on the skimmer, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
I mean, what I will say is that like it's not going to be the best everywhere, and I'll go into a little bit more later, but there are some hard limitations with the way that the skimmer works that will cause it to be like just not a great option at all on some maps. But luckily you have other options like the Skyscale and the Griffin for those maps, so they are kind of good spaces to be able to show the kind of difference in effectiveness, efficacy. I don't know. English is hard, but in the
Mano, assim, ó, eu acho legal ter a opção, entendeu?
As you can see, like if you know how to use the hover pretty well to kind of maintain.
Mas tipo, Lowland Shore eu ainda vou continuar usando meu Griffon, tá ligado? Pra cruzar o mapa de um ponto a outro.
Quite a while.
O Griffon ainda é melhor pra essas situações.
And then, yeah, here, let me showcase.
The magic carpet ride.
Essentially,
dá pra usar também.
And yeah, as you can see here, like it does use up drafts too, which makes things real useful. Because of the speed boost, it does take a minute to turn, right? Like one of the things that, like, we want to make sure that these things aren't also like
curti a ideia.
just absolutely broken.
Seria muito bom, tipo, como o upgrade do Raptor. Faria todo sentido.
Because of the fact that
o Raptor e o
you're going to like it's going to
e o
be a little
Jackal
bit,
acho que
like,
poderiam ser uma montaria para duas pessoas.
Right? And so it's like you do have to kind of there's a bow in the way that you turn. It's not just going to be like an immediate like snap, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And
sim,
so,
por causa das novas Masters
is
bizarro.
also one of the maps that Aether Location does work on. The way that we kind of put it is that one of the feedbacks that we had kind of noticed with the Warclaw is that like some people had wished that they would just kind of work on any open world map so they could really feel rewarded in that exploration, and that's something that we tried to solve for with the skimmer in particular. We kind of developed a new secondary system that works really well underwater, where we were able to kind of allow for spawning to exist on any open world map that has enough water, the keywords there being enough water. And so what you'll be able to do, right, whether it be in Corteria, any of the expansion maps, or really anywhere, right? Oh no. Sorry, one second.
TP pra algum mapa, como é que funcionaria isso?
We're getting telecom calls here.
Yep. But so the way the Aether Location essentially works to the player is like you can activate the sonar, like I said, as a toggle, and every 3-ish seconds you'll just see this cute little pulse coming from you. And similar to the Warclaw, the way it works out is like as you're exploring, it will be able to detect potential Aether Location specific rewards within the area. And so it is a little bit hard for me to find in this time because you know, the goal here is to have people kind of exploring all of the oceans of Tyria, and so we want to make it not too obvious, but for the sake of time, what I can do is I can
entendi, tipo portal mesmo.
So we can see kind of how that works in action.
We cheat for our loot.
Yes.
O Jackal, tu acha que não vai ser? Isso se a gente for para as mistas mesmo.
The way that it works is like essentially, you know, you're going around, and then you will end up hitting. Like it'll give you this notification that says like your skimmer has detected something of value nearby.
Legal, olha, apareceu iconezinho de baú.
Is just kind of look around, right, and you'll see that like the thing of value will have a little return pulse, and then you can loot it. And it will progress some achievements and things like that we've also added to kind of give a little bit more incentive and tracking for the exploration that you would be doing across Tyria. But also, this is a good time to showcase as well.
O Springer é fácil fazer um upgrade, é só aumentar o pulo dele e já era. Ele já ficaria mega útil.
Yes, and so the way that these skills work out is that depending on your positioning, these missiles do piercing. And so I'm going to target that jellyfish and then just kind of shoot at it.
Agora tem uma metralhadora no Skimmer, mano.
Which, you know, hard skill issue. you will be able to see that it
Olha isso,
penetrates
ele tem uma
through and
metralhadora.
hits multiple things, and depending on who it hits, it will do healing or damage. And so there, I was able to shoot multiple of the enemies and also heal you depending on my angling and my shooting. As you can see, it is a little bit more difficult than water, but that's mainly because of the Z-axis considerations as well. But, so as you can see, Richie, I'm sorry, I'm going to cheat and set you on fire.
Okay. That's fine. All in day's work. I'm on fire. I have
You're
6
very
stacks.
much on fire.
7 stacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so what you can see here is that like the way that it works out is that a full like a full run of your ammunition will heal about like 10k. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, maybe closer to 12. But like I said, these things are still being balanced. And one thing I will also note is that depending on who your target
Cara
is,
chorando por
the amount of
tradução.
healing can change. And so let's just say that I was targeting Richie, but there was another player in the middle of us. That other player will also get healed, but just for a lesser amount. And that lesser amount, depending on target, also applies to
O
enemies
skimmer
as
ficou
well. So if you're
multiuso
aiming
agora,
for somebody in
dano,
the
cura,
backline,
a
the missile
voa.
will pierce all the way to them, but everybody hit in between will be receiving less damage. And that's just, once again, to make sure that balance-wise we are being kind of effective in ensuring that this mount doesn't become the, like, end-all be-all of usage. And so, like, you will be doing less damage overall depending on if you hit things in between, but that also allows for some interesting gameplay where you can kind of be really considerate about your positioning when you're utilizing these skills, both with the barrel roll and with the water jets. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything for either location as well. Like I said, it's a toggle. There will be chests spawned in the oceans around Tyria, and hopefully this will encourage exploration throughout all the oceans and collaboration, because similar to the Warclaw chests, once one person finds it, everybody else that has a location will be able to find it too. And so, you
É
know,
legal essa
the kind of
exploração no
hope
mar
there is that
com
people
os
are working
baúzinhos.
together to
Tem que ver se
really
tem alguma
find
recompensa
more
legal, né?
this, mechanic.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned this, but just to reiterate, there are going to be some achievements and stuff for Aether location,
Yes.
treasure detection. Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to show them off because spoilers in other spaces, but yes, we do have achievements to encourage usage and kind of track investment.
Yeah. And the heal you were doing to me, I noticed I was actually down for a minute there. You were able to heal me from downstate, right?
Ele sempre pôde ir embaixo d'água, Márcio, mas esses tirinhos aí e poder catar os baús, não, isso é novo, tá? Isso vai ter na
This is
próxima
something I don't
expansão.
actually remember. If you here, I'm sorry, Richie.
Oh, good.
Oh wait, no. Actually, you will need to hurt your you will need to be the one to put yourself in downstate. I can't actually do that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's just use Mr. Basilisk here and see. I think that's what you did though when I was underwater. I was actually down when you started healing.
Potentially.
Yeah. Let's see.
You need to be not as good at living. How am I the one that's getting more mollywopped than you right now? You're trying to go down.
Come on. It's because I'm a Nord.
It's because
you know?
no, it's because you're a warrior and you've got healing signet on.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't change it. I'm in combat.
That's fair.
Here we go. Downstate.
Nope, not yet.
Are you kidding me? The thing aggroed on you.
Just die. Please go down. We've only got so
O cara não
much time.
consegue morrer, velho.
I don't want to have to set you on fire again. Okay, there we go.
I'm down. Here we go.
Let's see. Oh.
Yeah,
So,
it does actually.
It does, yeah. One thing I'll note is that there is currently a bug with positioning that, depending on where you are, it might hit the ground and then kind of destroy the missile. That is something that we're going to fix before ship. So yeah, if you're like above the target and they're like flat on the ground, there's like a small chance that, as you saw there, the heal might not register because it hits the ground before it hits you, but that's something that we're going to fix. Yeah, so there you go. It works on downstate. Similar to the dash also works on downstate.
Dá pra curar também o cara no downstage.
Yeah,
But
Super útil.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for both the masteries and the skills, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about why Skimmer for this expansion?
Yeah, I mean, I think what it...
Out here to take care
Sorry,
of that
give me a
beast.
second.
Now
How
you
about
are.
this? Why don't we move to the last map while I talk about that?
Okay.
Because I do not...
Want to keep getting calls?
Yeah. But I'm also trying to remember the name of the map that we're going to without opening the map.
Bloodstone Fen.
I'm talking about like the internal name. Richie, could you go to Bloodstone Fen and I'll teleport to you?
I am there. You can teleport.
Okay, cool. Because I want to make sure that I don't accidentally spoil the where Castora actually is, because that would not be good.
Makes sense.
Eles não querem mostrar de jeito nenhum spoiler, né, mano?
But yeah, so like Bloodstone Fen is a place that we figured would also potentially work because it's just got so many ley lines and updrafts that it's like, yeah, you just, go around, have fun with it. And there's also a lot of verticality there too. But yeah,
It's your playground with Skimmer.
It is one of them, yeah. But yeah, going back to what you were talking about, or the question that you had asked earlier around like why Skimmer, I think, with each of our mounts, the things that we try to keep track of are like acquisition and playtime. And so something that we had noticed with the Skimmer is that it is one of the most acquired mounts in Guild Wars, right? Like it's up there with the Raptor and the Springer. And so we wanted to kind of figure out, well, it doesn't have, like, while it is one of the most acquired mounts, it's one of the least utilized mounts. And so we just kind of thought that it would be a good time, right, especially as we're moving to like an island space where people are going to get to explore an island that's rich with water and ley magic. That'd be a good time to kind of take a look at how to improve the Skimmer to give it a little bit more usability and make it a bit more viable of an option for individuals who were like wanting to use it but felt like it didn't serve a strong enough purpose compared to other mounts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was one of those like serendipitous things where it's a good mount to focus on for those reasons, but also really fit the setting.
Yes. Yeah, we got real lucky there. Yeah, I'd say like that's pretty much the core reason. I think that, and everything that's come from that too, are just mainly like, one of the things that we've been trying to do is just make sure that, like, similar to the Warclaw and Janther Wilds and the Skyscale in Soto, that like these do feel like they are an effective and really like well-utilized tool in the maps of the expansion that they're associated with. And so like, Castora's got a lot of water, it's got a lot of like magic and ley magic, and so this was just a great opportunity for us to kind of blend those two together, both the mount and the map gameplay, because they already work so well hand in hand together. And hopefully people will like it. We do, but, I'm excited to see what players think of it when the game ships.
Cara, tá legal. Tipo,
On October 28th, yes. Did we mention it was
eu
October
acho que
28th?
foi um upgrade
now.
bom.
Just a couple
Ele,
weeks.
ele praticamente voa, Chico, na verdade.
Yeah, oh my god, my brain totally blanked there.
It's okay.
We've been showing a couple of maps where
Ele tem as mesmas utilidades do Sky agora, tipo, poder usar a leyline, os ventinhos.
Do you want to talk about the other end of the spectrum? Some of the limitations?
I sure do, yeah. Because one of the things, yeah, so let's move on to one more
Não,
map.
eu
So
não
we've
acho
seen
que ele vai ser mais
Shore and
versátil que
Bloodstone
o
Fen,
Skyscale.
kind of the bounds of
Não acho.
potential usage
Eu
on
acho
the
que ele vai
upper
ser
end
muito útil na
for
próxima
the
expansão,
Skimmer
tá?
of,
Por causa dos
like,
mapas
these
que tem muita
areas
água.
is
Mas eu não
gonna
acho
work
que, de modo
hopefully very well
geral,
for
ele
you. You're gonna
substitui o
really like it.
Skyscale.
But there are some maps where we found that, like, oh, it just doesn't. It's just not hitting where we want to hit. And we kind of, like, figured that, like, that might be okay. And I will show you why in a second. All right, so we're going to be moving over to Amnitos.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go a little bit into the background of how Skimmer works
Amnitos.
versus Skyscale and versus Skyscale and Griffin. Richie, apologies. Can you remind me, did we want to show the problem and then discuss why it exists? Or did we want to discuss why it exists and then show the problem? I guess it's not really a problem, but, you know, the limitation.
Yeah. I don't know. Which way do you think would be better? I think...
Tô por fora do Front Liberty.
I mean, we're already we're about to be in Amnitas. I guess so because we're already in Amnitas, I will showcase it first, and then we can hop over to the doodle space, and
okay.
I can like explain why. Yeah.
Já tá todas as massas upadas já.
The way that Skimmer currently works is that it hovers, right? Like it looks at its ground position, and then it is like, cool, I'm going to boost myself up, right? Versus Griffin and Skyscale, which are a bit more like I am flying, and depending on my mechanic, I am taking into consideration my like aerial world state versus different energy types. And so what ends up happening with the Skimmer is that like in maps where there is no ground, right, you naturally don't really, like, your hover will sustain, but it will never lift you, and like you can still use updrafts and ley lines, but in terms of like the actual slipstream boost giving you that vertical height gain, or just naturally the hover giving you that natural height gain, it doesn't, because there is no ground in these maps, right? And so it's like the Skimmer is not built to fly through the sky like a bird, right? The Skimmer is built to boost from kind of base level areas. And so as you can see here, right, like the Skimmer doesn't really gain as much height gain in these maps. And one of the things that, like, we were kind of thinking through it, and we were looking at, well, how can we actually make this work if we can? And what we kind of fell upon was ultimately that to make it work in these very specific maps for Secrets of the Obscure would cause a pretty significant rebuild on the back end for Skimmer that might actually take away some of its core theming and functionality with hover. And so, you know, this is one of the areas where it's like, yeah, the Skimmer, I think it's okay if it doesn't work as well in Amnitas or Skywatch Archipelago, because of the fact that like these maps were built for the Skyscale and Skyscale utilization as well as Griffin. And so if you want to challenge yourself and try to use the Skimmer in these maps as a quote-unquote flying mount, you're welcome to try, but it does still work very well in all of the ground spaces in Amnitas. So I'm not saying that it's useless here, because as you can see here, right, like you can still get some pretty significant ascent. You can climb those stairs pretty
sempre vai depender do terreno.
And you will still have access to.
Eu acho que ele vai funcionar muito bem na próxima expansão, tipo, ele vai se sobrepor às outras. Mas solto, por exemplo, não adianta, é Skyscale, mano.
Yeah, it doesn't really pair well with no ground maps currently.
I actually like it a lot because it drives home that fact that it is not a flying mount. You know, it is a gliding mount, and you do have a lot of verticality that you can upgrade into when you get Visions of Eternity, but if you don't have a ground beneath you, then it doesn't work. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and then like I think you touched on part of the core hope there, which is like it's meant to feel more like a hover type and a glider, and it's like, you know, with gliders it's a little bit more difficult to ascend, and it's really dependent upon where you are based off of your like ground position. And so I think that hopefully players are accommodating, I guess, in that space. And I can, if you want, I can talk through a little bit of how it functions on the back end and kind of why this limitation exists.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed when you ran me through this, like explaining it to me. So I'm sure the folks at home would like to see it.
Cool. Yeah. Apologies in advance for the nerd talk. It's about to get very nerdy in here. But okay, I've got the powerful paint tool here, and you're going to see a lot of doodling. And so the way that Griffin and Skyscale works, right? It's like we'll do S for Skyscale, we'll do G for Griffin, and we'll do oh no, Skimmer all starts with an S. Sure. A.
Isso aqui é alto padrão, minha gente, alto padrão de apresentação da ArenaNet. Vocês estão vendo em primeira mão isso aqui.
For Skimmer. So the way that sky scale works is essentially it takes its current position in the world, and it's like, hey, if you want to go up, like, you can only go up X amount, dependent upon your stamina bar and dependent upon that additional bar that is your essentially like height gain bar. The way that Griffin works is like, I mostly care about my velocity, and also like my velocity and also how much like lift I can get. So Griffin is like, if you start up on this cliff and then you fly and then you decide to dive, depending on like your velocity, you'll swing back up and you can like once again depending on the velocity get some height back. Whereas sky scale is very much like, cool, I can start down here and I can fly up and I can get to about here, but if I use Bond of Vigor or if I find a wall, right, like I can hit that wall and then I can get back some of my stuff, and then it allows me some of my bar, that thing right there, and then I can choose to launch back off and fly up a little bit higher, right? So and or, right, I can just go directly up to whatever that max value is, dependent upon, once again, those bars. So that is how it works with Skyscale and Griffin. Goodbye. And so now I'm going to describe how it works with Skimmer. So the way that Skimmer works with its hover is that Skimmer cares about where it is in relation to the ground.
Cara, achei original,
so
achei
at all
original.
times, Skimmer is hovering X height above the ground. And the way that hover high works is that it takes that X value and it adds like a multiplier. So it's like, I'm going to do the little dot multiplier. So like X multiplied by Y, right? So hover high, like hover pushes X to like let's just say that like X was like 90, it'll push it to like 180, and then hover high will push it to like 2 something. What we've done with Slipstream Boost is we have taken the knob on the proverbial amp and we didn't just crank it to 11, we like broke it. We were just like, yeah, you know what? Let's do exponential multiplication here and see how that works out. And so what that is allowed for is for us to take the Skimmer's kind of hover and just crank it. And so it's like now, whereas like when you were doing your hover high, you'd be able to get to like here or here. Now, while that is active, it's like you can just go right up. And then because of the way that the hover works and the dash works, you can maintain that aerial amount until you're out of your stamina bar. And then you can just kind of start drifting back down. Which, you know, Skimmer also has a lower descent rate.
Cara, quanta enrolação só pra esticar essa live, já deu pra entender, mano.
Allows you to, like, you know, kind of act like a
glider. A gente usa o Skimmer já há 10 anos.
Yeah, so what that means, once again, is like, if there is no ground, X is 0. And you can't, doesn't matter how much you multiply by 0, 0 is, like, 0 times 30 is 0. So that's really one of our core limitations. And like I said, we looked into potentially making it work similar to the Skyscale or the Griffin who have true flight, but that just didn't really, like, it made the Skimmer not feel like the Skimmer, and it took away a lot of its kind of like core fun, if that makes sense, and challenge. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of saying it's this way on purpose. Sorry.
Well, thank you for nerding out for us. I actually like that decision a lot. Like I said, it makes it feel like what it is. It's a hover.
Ah, morreu noob.
And yeah, you've turned that dial up.
Tá usando a minha build horizontal.
Stream, but yeah, if you go to a map that has no floor, you're going to slowly float down like a glider. Whereas other maps, you can, you know, fully soar a lot easier. So, all right. Can you believe an hour has gone by?
Has it really been an hour? Wow.
It's been a full hour.
I know that you did want there to be some Q&A, so I am comfortable staying for a little bit longer. I can't stay forever because, you know, we are still working on stuff and we do have a expansion to ship, and we're close.
Yeah.
But
throw any questions you have in the chat. We'll try to get to some of them. Real quick, where are you in the game? Oh, you're underwater. I was going to say, let's show off be the camera and show off the mount that skin that I'm on. This is one of our pre-purchase rewards for the deluxe edition or the ultimate edition of Visions of Eternity. This is a Skimmer skin that's like a jellyfish. It is
o cara
really
do
cool.
marketing fazendo propaganda.
And the dye channels on this thing are wild. Like, you can get some translucent translucent dyes. It's really fun. But make sure you go over to GW2.com if you want to purchase or pre-purchase Visions of Eternity, and all the pre-purchase rewards are in a handy-dandy little video over on our YouTube channel if you want to take a view of that.
Yeah, I actually have.
Well,
oh, sorry. Please finish. Apologies.
No, I was done.
All right. What I was gonna say is that there's actually a funny story in how we chose the jellyfish too. So as a part of trying to figure out what the new skimmer skin would be, we had our amazing concepting team. Shout out to them. They've done just an absolutely amazing job.
Cara,
all of them. Like,
ele ganhou mais velocidade, mais altitude vertical, mas ele continua lento.
Make the variant for Castora, similar to how we did the cute, fuzzy Janthery Warclaw versus like the armored one. That's a little bit more like aggressive looking. And while we were trying to figure out which ones we would like end up choosing, we were doing votes. And essentially what happened was that like everybody was like, oh, so the dragonfly is probably the right option, but the jellyfish is so
É que tem... Não
and
sei,
so what ended up
senão
happening
ia
is
meio
that
que
like
travar
a
o
lot
jogo
enough
com
people like the
algumas
jellyfish as
skins
well
que a gente
enough that they were
tem.
just like, you know what?
É muito efeito
Here you
visual.
go, like commerce team was like, yeah, we'll
É
snap,
muita
we'll take that.
shinicidade pra jogo só.
And we'll make that one the pre-purchase bonus. So yeah, shout out to the concept team. They did an absolutely amazing job on both, and it was like it ultimately stemmed from this just like conflux of like, this one's so cool, but that one's so cool, so let's just give them both.
Yes, why not both? Exactly.
Yeah.
Cara, pra mim o Raptor,
Can you mount
o
while
Raptor
falling?
e o Springer
Yes,
e
that
o
was
Jackal
actually,
continuam
that's another great call out,
totalmente
something that I
secundários.
missed. So one piece of feedback that we had gotten with the skimmer as well is that sometimes if I want to dismount while I'm doing the gliding, it can be a little hard to like do the so you can dismount in air using the one skill, but we had gotten feedback that it sometimes is a little difficult because if I wanted to land like right here, if I'm not like really expert with it, I might end up landing over there because the dash is a dash, right? And so what we did to kind of accommodate that was like, okay, well, you know, if you are willingly choosing to dismount, like the X dismount skill also will allow you to dismount. What I will also add though, sorry, one second, let me turn back on the light. One other thing to note though as well is that you cannot mount the skimmer in air, so you can only dismount in air. And the main reason for that is that we didn't want to take away
E aí,
from the
William,
flight
provavelmente
mastery
tem,
line that you
mano,
get
só
with
que
the
tu não
Sky
tá num
skill in
canal que
Soto,
tem
right?
gente, mas tem.
And
Tem gente
so
24 horas
in
lá,
that
certeza.
line, like it gives you like there are masteries associated with being able to mount in midair, and so we decided like, well, let's make sure that the skimmer, like, that's not something that we can fit into our mastery line, so we'll leave it to those two to once again kind of allow that distinction in the options that you're choosing within any given moment. So if you are fast enough, like, yeah, you can like use the skimmer, quickly swap over to the like do a drop, glide, swap over to sky scale.
Ou se alguém quiser
while
dar
you're in the
uma
air, and then like gain some descent. And we think that
sugestão aí pro William.
encouraging that type of gameplay by just kind of not giving every option to one mount allows for some pretty flexible use of
vou
each
no
mount
banheiro, já
and
volto, só
some
minuto.
dynamic traversal options.
Awesome. Similar question. Mounting the skimmer in combat? Yes, yes.
Yes. So that is another great catch. Thank you so much, Richie. The skimmer can be mounted in combat. That is something that we mentioned on the blog post, and is good to go over a little bit more here. So the way that it works out, is that, sorry, Doe, I'm going to use you as a test example. Nope. Dang it, too strong.
You murdered?
I murdered an innocent creature. It's okay. So as you can see here, the Doe and Fang Deer are attacking me, and I can indeed mount up in combat. And one of the main reasons that we decided to do that as well is because right now there is no solid combat mounting option underwater, and so we figured, well, if we should give combat mounting to the skimmer because it's meant to be this like really sleek flowing creature, and we can't just be
Ele
like,
tá
well,
falando do
we're gonna give it to you underwater, but not
Bubble
above
farming,
ground, so we have to give
engraçado.
it to them in general.
Cara,
One
por que
thing
ele
to note,
desligou
though, as
a
you can
luz de
see
novo?
here, is that there is a combat mounting recharge increase. And what we've done is essentially we've taken the War Claw's combat mounting cooldown system and we have applied it to the skimmer as well, mainly because of the fact that this is something that you're just going to get on all skimmers regardless of mastery line. Like, it's just a core addition that we gave, similar to the War Claw. And so the way that we had to kind of set up this system to make sure that it's balanced and not exploitable is they share that cooldown deprecation buff system. So if you were to hop into combat with your skimmer and then dismount and then hop into combat with your Warclaw, your Warclaw is taking into consideration that same buff that you got from the skimmer, and that's just to make sure that people, like, you know, that we're not allowing for potential exploiting through the usage of those mechanics. So just one more time, they share the same cooldown mechanic, essentially. Instead of just on the Warclaw now, it is both of them using the same thing.
Makes sense. Can we swap back to the homestead map?
Yep.
It's taking the lights out on us.
It has taken lights on us, yes. And also it is very beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Question about like what's considered a floor. Do big water areas count as a floor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything. So water counts as a floor. Ground counts as a floor. These props count as a floor. It is anything that you can collide with. And so you can collide with like, a water surface. You can collide with this ground. You can collide with this, but you can't collide with the air. And so that's why like the air is not considered ground, because it's like if gravity pulls you to it and it will stop you, it is considered ground.
Makes sense.
At least as far as I'm aware. There might be a programmer that's like, Nick, you're actually wrong about this one part. So yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I will say.
I have another question about the increase in speed boost if you have the Path of Fire masteries and the Visions of Eternity. Does that affect all maps or just VOE maps?
All maps. So the way the speed boost works, thank you for calling that as well, is that if you already have the Hover High Mastery trained,
então alguém tem que criar o grupo, né? Tipo, é foda que todo mundo fica com medo de criar grupo.
Essentially affect the way that your hover gains height. And so if you have the Hover High
Provavelmente deve estar só
Mastery
canal cheio.
skimmer from Path of Fire, and you get the Slipstream Boost Mastery.
Porque normalmente tem quase 24 horas
the
farm
height
de
that you can
bubble.
gain with Slipstream Boost and the speed are increased. So there's kind of like two tiers of it. There's the only VOE version, and then there's the VOE and POF version. So what we're also showcasing today is the VOE and POF version. So the other one is a little weaker, but not so much so that it's going to feel just significantly different. But like, you know, maybe instead of hitting this cliff, you would end up like right here, depending on the stamina drain and things like that. So it's a like, you definitely want to have both, but it's not going to make the use of Slipstream Boost completely useless if you don't have both.
Okay. And one last thing that you've demonstrated before, but we can demonstrate one more time. How smooth is the leyline transition from air to water?
I can show that, yeah.
The answer is very smooth.
Hopefully it's very smooth. I mean, it also depends on the trajectory of the ley line and the speed. And so, you know, depending on what ley lines you're using, it can make it a little bit, like, bumpy. But, yeah, like, we tried to make sure that it was smooth across the board. And so, what you see there is kind of what it should look like on launch.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Nick. This has been very, very informative. I've seen a lot of good comments in the chat.
That's good.
Gang, make sure that keep your eyes peeled on all of our channels. We've got some great stuff coming up to tease the expansion. Remember, Visions of Eternity, our next expansion, launches on October 28th. You can pre-purchase now and get a whole bunch of goodies. They actually give you the goodies now in the live game. A lot of them are delivered immediately, like the mount skin we were showing off and the Commodore hat. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be doing some teases of some hairstyles. finals that are going to be coming up, and in 2 weeks, I'm working on a blog that's going to be going out to talk about raids after Visions of Eternity launches.
Hairstyle semana que vem.
So some things to whet your appetite as we approach the final few weeks, counting down to Visions of Eternity.
Isso é da
Nick,
outra
anything else
semana,
you wanna
raid.
say? Thank you so much.
Thank you all for tuning in, and to those who are going to watch the VOD, hopefully you like it. I'm going to be staring at the forums to see how people feel about these things. So hopefully y'all like it, but if you don't, please don't hesitate to let us know. Always open to whatever feedback that we can get. And while we don't have much time to action on significant feedback, like your opinions do matter with this kind of stuff. So yeah, also shout out again to the player who made this, that gave it to us at PAX. And yeah,
awesome.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.
That was a great call out. Our official forums are the best place to leave any feedback that you have. We do look at that feedback constantly. So please post over there and let us know what you think.
Actually,
thanks so much.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry, Richie.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing. I completely forgot. I also want to give a special shout out to Carl McLean. He actually, at the very beginning of the expansion, did like the earliest iteration prototype of the skimmer, and he was the main designer for the Warclaw adjustments in Janthier Wilds. And so it's like, I just want to give him a shout out as well, because like we would not have been able to kind of find really the core fun in a lot of this without his experience and his knowledge. So yeah, he's an amazing designer. Just wanted to call him out too, because it takes a village for this kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Everything that you've seen, there's a whole bunch of people making this, and even just getting this live stream going. Like we have Summer behind the camera here, and so thanks to everybody involved in making the stuff we're showing for Visions of Eternity and setting up this live stream. I appreciate you, Nick, and I hope everybody out there has an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next time. Happy gaming.
Happy gaming.
Isso aí, galera. Acabaste. O que vocês acharam? Aí, boa, William. O que acharam? Do novo Skimmer. Cara, eu acho que... Eu tenho a impressão que ele vai ser muito, muito, muito útil na próxima expansão, tá? Eu acho que ele vai se sobrepor a todas as outras na próxima expansão, nos mapas da próxima expansão. Não acho que ele substitua o Skyscale de modo geral. Não sinto isso. Eu acho ele muito lento ainda. Mas eu acho que para a expansão em si, ele vai ser bem útil. Eu imagino que eles tenham feito um design de mapa assim que ele acabe se sobrepondo ao Skyscale, porque faria sentido. Mas de modo geral, ainda acho o Skyscale que vai continuar sendo a top tier de utilidade, assim, de praticidade. Tipo, mantém o Skyscale, é muito útil. Mas tá massa. De qualquer forma, tá massa. Eu acho que pra mim eles estão no caminho certo, tá? Eu prefiro que eles façam um rework no que a gente já tem, melhore, pra depois, futuramente, construir alguma coisa nova do zero. Eu não duvido nada que eles não estejam já trabalhando em alguma coisa nova do zero pra ser apresentado daqui 2, 3, 4 anos. Não duvido nada. Aquela aranha lá que ia ser lançado no Path of Fire, provavelmente eles devem estar guardando isso aí pra em algum momento ser lançado. Acho bem possível. Ai, ai. 5h15. Não sei o que vocês acharam. Curtiram, não curtiram? Eu vou fazer um vídeo agora. Vamos ver se eu consigo fazer hoje ainda pra resumir as... Tipo, eu já fiz o vídeo terça-feira contando as habilidades e tal. Agora eu quero fazer um mostrando os previews das habilidades. Eu não vou explicar tudo de novo, mas só um preview de cada uma. Fazer um corte dessa live. E, tipo, dar as minhas impressões aí do que eu achei. Tentar fazer um videozinho curto. Mas de modo geral eu curti. Acho que vai ficar legal assim na prática. Mas é isso aí, galera. Amanhã de manhã às 8 horas tem mais live de Guild Wars. A gente vai tentar fazer meio que um desafio amanhã. Tentar fazer uma coisa um pouco diferente. Vou tentar farmar aí 10 chaves de Leyline. De Black Lion Chest. De manhã. Vamos ver se eu consigo fazer essa façanha aí. Vou usar umas estratégias pra tentar. Mas vai ser na sorte, né? Não adianta. Tentar farmar 10 chaves amanhã de manhã. E é isso aí, galera. Zerando o mapa. Sim, zerando o mapa, fazendo história. Tentar fazer os mapas mais rápido que tem no jogo, que eu ainda não tenha completado com personagens. E, bom, de qualquer forma é 30% de chance, né, Chico? Mas eu vou tentar. Vamos tentar. Será que... Bom. Tem 10, Tá. Valeu, Chico, valeu. De qualquer forma, quero agradecer a presença de vocês por ter acompanhado aí junto comigo essa apresentação da ArenaNet. Muito obrigado. E a gente se encontra amanhã aí. Boa sexta-feira pra vocês. Não vão beber demais. E é isso aí. Até amanhã de manhã, galera. Forte abraço. Valeu.